Raise your hand if being a classical conversations director sometimes feels like your full-time job. The emails, the signups, the meetings, it can be a lot. But what if I told you there are some ridiculously simple hacks that can cut your admin time in half? Today, I am sharing the director's secrets that I use every week to stay sane, keep families happy, and actually have time to enjoy my day. You don't need any fancy software, just a couple of simple changes on how you handle your emails, your signups, and your follow-ups. And if we haven't met before, hi, my name's Lynn, and I want to be your homeschooling bestie. It is my hope to help make homeschooling easy for everyday moms and dads. So today I am going to jump into my 3 favorite director hacks that I have been using for the last 5 years as I direct Challenge B. And typically my class is full. 4 of my 5 years, I've had 11 or 12 students in my class. So I do understand what it means to manage a full classroom and lots of families and lots of students. And these are the things that has saved me hours and lots of mental space. The first thing I tell new directors, and this is the number 1 hack I have for you, is you have got to recycle your emails from year to year. My first year directing, it probably took me 2 to 3 hours to sit down and think through all of the information that I wanted to send to the parent in the weekly email. And I was telling them a little bit about what happened in the class, making sure if I was adjusting anything in our schedule, and going over anything in the guide that might surprise the parents so that they were prepared for what was coming. The thing you need to do here is every single year, you need to be saving the emails you send out. I just email it to myself in addition to all of the parents in the class. So it's coming right back to my inbox. And then I move that to a saved emails folder. And then starting year 2, I don't have to start from scratch and brainstorm what needs to be told. I go into my saved emails folder. I pull out that week's email from the previous year. I copy and paste it into a fresh email. And then I go through and edit everything that I did differently or that changed or that we adjusted this year so that the information is fresh and new. But it really helps me when I have attached links for documents that they need because now I don't have to go chase those down again. I can usually get my email out in 30 to 45 minutes when I'm starting from that recycled email. And directors, if this is your first year directing, but you have had an older student already go through the class, why don't you start with your previous director's emails that they sent out? That would give you a good launching point. Or even if you didn't have a student going through the class before, ask the director who was there before you if they would mind forwarding their email from each week over to you. And you can start with that as a jumping off point. It just saves so much thinking time. And you have a much better success rate of not leaving something out that is important for the parents that week. Now, I break down the exact process that I use and how I set this up in my Google emails, from my class list to my folders that I save it in, to how I pull it up the next year. And I have all of that information in this video here. So check out this video if you want me to walk you step by step through how to recycle your emails from year to year. The second task that really can be overwhelming is CC's recommended schedule of contacting parents. They want you to contact new students once a week and have a conversation with their parents. They want you to contact returning students every 2 to 3 weeks and have a follow-up conversation with the parents and see how they're doing. This is a lot of work. It can be very time-consuming. However, there is a lot of reward for it. It has been surprising to me over and over again when I reach out to a parent and I call or I text them, how much more they are apt to respond to me and tell me where they need help or where they're misunderstanding or where they're struggling than if we're just passing in the hall and I say, let me know if you have any problems. Or if I put it at the end of my email, message me with any questions. I just opened the conversation with, just wanted to check in with you. How has the last week or 2 been with your student? How are they doing with their schoolwork? And it is amazing what a window of opportunity this one question opens. So my recommendation for this is to set up a calendar task. If you have a Google Calendar, they have a tasks section that you can set up on repeating occurrences. If you have another calendar, I'm sure they have similar features. Set up a task so that it repeats either once every week or once every 2 to 3 weeks, based upon if the student is a returning student or a new student. And when I do it, I like to set it up in a 3-week cycle. That we have community day 1 day a week, which gives me 4 days left that we are not meeting in community. And so I set up one student to reach out and contact their parent each of those 4 days a week. And I can talk to every single parent in our class on a 3-week rotation doing it that way. And 3 weeks feels really good. It's given them some time and space for things to actually occur, for them to actually come up with questions. Because sometimes if you're calling every week, that's too often and they don't have any questions. I set it up to repeat every 12 days. Then it pops up on my calendar that day and I just mark the task completed when I have finished. So I never have to use up brain space trying to remember, when's the last time I saw this parent in the hall? Did we have a conversation? And that is the tricky part about Challenge. While you do have space and time to see Foundations parents in the hall and have some of these conversations face-to-face, Challenge parents are not as frequently and regularly in the classroom. So even though I might at some point have a conversation with a parent face-to-face because they popped in that day, it's not a regular enough basis for it really to be a good check-in point with the parent. And if you do CC's procedure of reaching out to them with either a phone call or a text message, I think you're going to find great results. The third hack I have for you is about all the signups that you have. Field trips and classroom activities and mock trial tasks. There are a lot of things that you have to get the parents help with and a lot of things that you need to just find out what the class wants. I also find that when we are doing a sign up for something, it is very labor intensive for me to take the response and transfer it from a text message or an email to some sort of paper or Excel document or something to track who has signed up for what event and who's going to be coming, who's paid, and all the different components. What I have found that works really, really well, and a lot of communities I know use this, are Google Forms. And you can set up a Google form for anything. It basically works like a survey. We have started using this in our community for everything, ordering pizza and who's signing up for pizza. And I'll just have the Google form say, give me your name, tell me which flavor you want, and here's the link to Venmo me. And then I have it compile a list so then I know exactly how many students I have. And it's all right there in one place. I didn't have to type it in. Technology does it all for me. And if you're not sure the correct questions to ask, then I recommend you use an AI system, whether it's Gemini or ChatGPT, whatever you like, and ask, I need to create a survey for this type of event. What are the questions that I should ask? And then you can ask them to take the questions that you like and put it into a format that you can copy and paste it into a Google form. And it'll tell you title, description, question 1, question 2, question 3. And you can literally copy and paste that from your AI to a Google form and send that link out to the parents. And then when you're ready to look at it, go and click on that link and it'll have a complete table compiling all of that information so that you are ready to do your food ordering or put in your field trip numbers and requests. And there's so much flexibility. You can make it multiple choice. You can make it checkbox and check as many as you want. You can make it fill in the form. And now you've got boxes with everyone's answers like, hey, what dish are you bringing to this potluck? And they can all put their answers in there. And then you can send that out so everyone knows. Saves you these basic administration tasks so that you can use your brain energy for thinking about actually teaching class and actually having great conversations with your students and actually diving into the material, because that's the main thing. And my heart is to keep the main thing and give it the most amount of my time and resources and to take the minor things as much off of my plate as I possibly can so that it's not sucking up my time or my energy. Okay, I have a bonus tip, number 4, and this is specifically for Challenge B directors. One of the things I've noticed throughout the year is that my classes who have set up a student text thread have succeeded much better at mock trial than my classes who have not set it up. I am not saying this is going to make you win. What I am saying is that it streamlines the communication in such a way that students are not sitting around 4 days a week waiting until they come back to community day to have the conversations about what they need to change, what they like, what they want to keep, what they want to fix. It speeds up the rate that they can take changes. It speeds up the rate that they can get feedback from their classmates. And it gives them a great resource to go to instead of asking mom and dad questions. And that can be a blessing for mom and dad also. Now, my caveat here is they are 8th graders, so you need to do this carefully. And I always recommend that there is a parent on the thread to monitor it. They could set it up using any form they want, like Messenger Kid, iMessages, or just regular text messages. If they have that, you'll have to see what mode of communication all of the students have. And I always put a parent on that text thread, not me, so that I am not bombarded with messages. It is going to take a load off of you as the director and off the parents in the classroom, and honestly, off of the students as well. Because if we meet on Monday, we recommend they make changes. Tuesday, they can go home and work on it, realize they have a question they need to talk to their attorney or their witness about, and may not be able to communicate with them for another 4 or 5 days. But if they have the text thread, they can send that out, they can get the class feedback, or they can get that individual's feedback, and everyone can make decisions faster, which helps them to be well prepared when we show up for class time in order to actually practice what we are working on. And those are my favorite director hacks. I have been so blessed by all 4 of these things in my classes. I hope that they are a blessing to you too. I hope that this solves some things that have actually been problems for you. And my goal here is for all of us to have more time for the important things. So share with me, and I might make a future video about this. What is your biggest time sink in your director life right now? Because you may be having problems that I or somebody else has an answer to. And we can either comment with a response, or if there are a lot of people with the same question, or it needs a more elaborate response, I might be able to make a future video about any of the problems that you are facing. And so please put that in the comments below so we can see that, and I will be monitoring those comments and trying to get back to you. As well, if you have made it to the end of the video, would you put a heart in the comments below? That just means the world to me to know that this was helpful to you and you watched this full video. And remember, you are dedicated and capable of leading your class well. Bye-bye.